Greetings everyone, this is Mr. Johnson, your English instructor, and at this point in our semester we have covered thesis statements, your heading, as well as the 5-paragraph essay and what is expected in those essays. We have actually reached the point now where we are getting ready to write our first essay. And for essay 1, you have a choice of either writing a persuasive or a cause and effect paper. And we're going to talk about both of those options in this slideshow. Option 1 is the persuasive paper. What is a persuasive paper? A persuasive paper is a paper that discusses a debatable topic. So the key word here is debatable. You don't want to pick a paper to debate such as do cigarettes kill people, because we have empirical evidence showing where smoking cigarettes leads to death in several different ways, whether it be from throat cancer, lung cancer, mouth cancer, or some other type of illness that cigarette consumption causes. If you write a persuasive paper, you want to think about a controversial topic, a debatable topic, things that people can't seem to agree on. These topics can include things such as abortion, capital punishment. You may even want to write a paper about why you should not have to wear your seatbelt when you drive. Although it is law, some people don't think that you should be mandated to wear a seatbelt. But you want to make sure that your topic is debatable. Otherwise, we won't need you to persuade us. Your steps for writing this persuasive paper. What you need to do is make a list of 10 possible controversial topics. Again, I don't care what you write about as long as the topics are controversial. You may want to decriminalize marijuana. You may want to decriminalize prostitution. You may want to write a persuasive paper about why everyone needs to eat a vegan diet. However, you need to start off by creating a list of 10 possible controversial topics. After you make this list of 10 possible controversial topics, take some time thinking about the two sides of the argument. What side of the argument you would need to take, because you're going to take a side in this argument. You're not going to necessarily write about both sides. Your job is to persuade me, not to just inform me on both sides of the argument. So spend some time with your 10 possible topics. Narrow it down to the 3 that you think you could do the best job of persuading someone on. Once you narrow this list to your top 3, write a 3-pronged thesis statement for each of your top 3. Once you have those top 3, don't rush through it, but spend some time thinking about it. Choose the strongest and begin writing utilizing the 5-paragraph format that we've discussed in class. Now, once you have your top 3, if you'd like some further input, I recommend that you always speak with someone. You can shoot me an email with your top 3 thesis statements if you want some input on them. In addition to that, you could visit the Student Success Center. But once you have your top 3 thesis statements and you choose your strongest, begin writing, again, using the 5-paragraph format that we've already discussed in class. That's what you'll do for the first option. Your second option for this first essay is a cause and effect paper, which is also known as a causal analysis. What is a cause and effect paper? A cause and effect paper is a paper that analyzes the causes and or effects of a particular condition or event. So when we think about conditions or events, we could be talking about something like deforestation, which is the impact that humans have had on the earth by cutting down all of the trees in the forest. It has led to several different effects. These effects that clear-cutting forests have led to include increased erosion, lost habitat for animals, a higher level of pollution because of the lack of trees. So that's an example of a condition and what it has led to. You may also want to look at a historical event, such as um, the impact that camera phones have had on culture. When we look at the advent of camera phones have led to things such as the exposure of police brutality, invasion of privacy, and many other things. May want to look at this. You may also want to look at what has caused a particular event. Instead of looking at what police brutality has led to, you may want to look at things that may have increased instances of police brutality. So there are different ways you can approach this cause and effect paper. Another example of how you would examine the causes of a particular thing instead of what the particular thing has led to, you can look at the impact LeBron James has had on the NBA. Even though LeBron James is not doing anything new by taking more control over what team he plays for, is the publicity surrounding his moves between teams has created an atmosphere in the NBA where other players are starting to do it more often, and is really taking control of the development of teams away from general managers in the NBA. So these are all things that you want to consider. Are you looking at an event and what it has led to, or are you looking at the event or condition and what led to it? Deforestation is the product of us clear-cutting forests, overpopulating particular areas, etc. So when you get ready to write this cause and effect paper, you want to take steps similar to if you were writing the persuasive paper. First of all, make a list of 10 possible topics. So look at historical events or conditions. You may want to look at the assassination of a political figure. You may want to look at drug culture in drugs in popular culture. We've lost a lot of stars due to drug abuse, such as Kurt Cobain and a lot of others. You may want to look at drugs' adverse effect on popular culture and some of our movie stars and music stars. You may want to look at the effect that actual movie stars have on society, or these pop culture figures, these stars that they have on culture. You may want to look at how culture affects them, because if you look at it, you look at what happens in culture. Colin Kaepernick, for example, culture has affected him in a way where he's taken a stand against something that he sees in society, and it's had an adverse effect on his football career. It's actually ended it more than likely. You may want to look at Nike's new contract with Colin Kaepernick and what it has led to. It has led to protest, boycotting, and what else has it led to? Protests, boycotting, and increased sales. So you may want to look at that. But you choose your 10 possible topics, narrow the list to your top 3, then write a 3-pronged thesis statement for each one of your top 3. Choose the strongest of these 3 and begin writing utilizing the 5-paragraph format. Now, some things I want to remind you of. First of all, with the cause and effect paper, as well as the persuasive paper, if you want some feedback on your thesis statements, you could send me the thesis statement. Remember, your thesis statement is a single sentence with 3 prongs. So you could send me an email during appropriate hours for feedback on that. Now, some other things that I want to remind you is, as you write your paper, make sure you follow the format that we discussed in class. And I'm pulling up a Word document because I want you to see this. First of all, we discussed that everything that you write for me needs to be in Times New Roman, 12-point font. You need your heading. Your heading consists of your name. Next, you have your instructor name. Next, you have your course. And remember, for me, because I have multiple classes, when you write your course, you're going to put a dash and your CRN on the other side of the dash after English 1101. And then lastly, you're going to have the date. And again, I don't care what format you use for the date, just make sure the date is there and it's in the correct place. Now the heading that I want you to use on your paper deviates slightly from the example in Blackboard. The example in Blackboard is going to have this entire thing double spaced, and it's going to have an added line in there with the actual assignment. You're not going to do that. You're going to have a 4-line heading for my class, and you're going to remove the spaces after paragraph so that you can see that I'm going to undo it. In order to remove the space, you're going to highlight the heading, go up here to where it says paragraph. There's an icon that says line and paragraph spacing. Click on it, go down to remove space after paragraph. Once you remove space after paragraph, you're going to click at the end of your date line and you're going to add space after paragraph. So when you come to the next line and you center, you can put your title here. Make sure that your title is not underlined. Make sure that your heading is correct. And make sure that for your actual paper that you indent all of your paragraphs and you double space. If you don't indent and you don't double space, your paper will not be read. If you have questions about anything in this video, feel free to email me, but do so via Blackboard. Log into Blackboard, click on the class. In the menu to the left, click on email, and then click on email all instructors and send me an email through Blackboard during the appropriate hours if you have a question. I hope that this helps you get a jump start on writing this paper, which is due this weekend. The Dropbox for it will be available soon, definitely well before it's due. Thank you for taking your time to look at this. You have a great week. Happy writing.